What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to The World According to Briggs, a channel where dreams become reality. Just kidding. Well, I mean, unless your dream is to hear someone talk trash about your hometown, then hey, welcome to The World According to Briggs, a channel where your twisted dream becomes reality. Today, the dream takes us to a city in the California outback known as Bakersfield. Bakersfield is to most people just some lights out your passenger side window while you drive north on Interstate 5 about 120 miles outside of Los Angeles. To around 400,000 residents, it's called home. It is the 9th most populous city in California. Bakersfield was reincorporated in 1898. I guess this is another one of those places that they didn't remember they incorporated a couple years earlier. Bakersfield carries the nickname Nashville West, which I'm sure that is some sort of insult to the actual Nashville. One is a tourist destination, the other one's more like a tourist detention area. The first thing most tourists say while visiting Bakersfield is, why the hell did I come to Bakersfield? Why are my tires slashed? And I think somebody peed in my gas tank. Bakersfield isn't the type of place you visit, and for most people, it's not the type of place you live. But that doesn't mean people don't move or visit this place. Today we're gonna see why you shouldn't move to this jewel of the California desert in my top 10 reasons not to move to Bakersfield, California. Number 10, farming. Farming is one of the biggest, if not the biggest, industry in and around Bakersfield. Surrounding the city is farmland for miles and miles. With this brings some issues. Farming means a lot of pollution to the city with all the chemicals used on the plants. Then you have the allergies. If you have sensitive allergies, you're going to need to stock up on some Claritin, eye drops, and explanations about why you look like you're high while you're operating the combine. Farming does a lot of good for this area. Obviously, it gives tons of jobs, brings up the economy in the area, but it's got some downsides too. Number 9, employment. Employment here is not the best. In 2010, during the recession, the unemployment rate here peaked at 15.8%, and that was as of April of that year. April this year, the unemployment rate hit 8%. It's still there here in July. This is very far off from the national average. The national average currently, in, like I said, July of 2019, is 3.6%, with California's average being 4.3%. Bakersfield, with their 8%, is really taking the pants on this one. Double the national average in unemployment sucks. The top employers here are Kern County, Grimway Farms, Chevron, and Bolthouse Farms. It's highly advised to make sure you get a job before you move here, or you'll be living in your car down by the river. Like I said before, Geico will be your landlord. Number 8, lack of nature. Nature lovers should definitely not move here or even visit Bakersfield. In the last decade or so, nature and outdoor activities have become more of a requirement for people to relocate. If that is something you need to relocate, you need to scratch Bakersfield off your list. There's nothing really scenic about this city, unless of course you consider people sweating through their shirts scenic. Then yes, it gets hot here. More about that later on in the list. There are parks, and the Kern River runs straight through Bakersfield. You won't find much of nature unless you look outside the city, like Oak Flat Lookout Tower. It's located within the Sequoia National Forest, about an hour or so out of town. Number 7, obesity. Obesity is a major problem in this country. Bakersfield isn't helping. The city was rated as one of the top 10 most obese cities, with about 33.6% of the residents considered to be obese. Obesity comes with a bunch of health risks, including high cholesterol, high blood pressure, sausage fingers, diabetes, which can also lead to heart attack and ultimately an early death. I don't like the word obese. I prefer horizontally challenged. Health isn't my motivator to lose weight. It's the fact that I hate shopping for new clothes. I really just don't want to get to the point where I'm only like buying and wearing sweats. That's why I try and maintain it a little bit. Number 6, pollution. Being a part of California, you should expect that almost anywhere you move to is going to be filled with some pollution problems. Bakersfield is no different. We talked about farms creating a lot of pollution earlier, and the city itself makes things even worse. The overall pollution index in the city is about 331% worse than the rest of the country. Their air pollution is staggeringly bad. The air is so bad here some days you wish you could get tear gassed just to get some relief. Bakersfield air quality has had some bad ratings in the last several years. They always seem to have at least 1 or 2 hazardous days a year. This may be unsafe for those with sensitive lungs. Also might be why the residents over 65 make up only 8% of the city's population. Number 5, it's very Republican. Now, here's my disclaimer for this one. I don't care either way how anyone votes. I only care how I vote. But this is important to some people, so much so that they often list it as a reason not to move someplace. They don't like Republicans, they don't like Democrats, therefore they don't want to live around them. Whatever. Again, I'm not saying Republicans or Democrats are bad. We're all in this together, all right? California was a very Republican state from 1952 to 1992. Most people view California as this hardcore liberal state. For the most part, it is on the coast. Bakersfield is so far from the coast and liberalism, it's legendary in the state of California. The city is very much Republican, with about 57% of the residents identifying as a Republican. The 2016 election, around 55% of the votes were in favor of Donald Trump and about 40% for Hillary Clinton. And everyone else had voted for Evel Knievel, which is strange because he wasn't even running and had actually been dead for 9 years at that point. Number 4, tons of renters. Bakersfield has seen its population almost quadruple itself since the 1980s. The downside is, with all these new residents, the majority of the population rents their homes. This could be a major problem for the city's future. Normally, when you see this high percentage of renters, it's a good indicator that they have a high unemployment, and probably have for years, or they have a bunch of not so great jobs. Now, even though it's not the most desirable place to live, it's not, it really isn't. Bakersfield has some high home prices just because it's in California. So that makes it harder for a lot of these people to actually buy a home. Number 3, no ocean. Since Bakersfield is located in the middle lower half of California, this means 3 things. It's extremely hot during the summer, you'll be covered in sunblock for 3 to 4 months a year, and the ocean is really far away. Further than any map will tell you. Let me explain. The closest warm sunny California beach you will find is about 120 miles away. That's an hour and a half with no traffic, which is not a thing. You have a better chance of finding a unicorn on a Tinder date with Bigfoot than you do finding no traffic in Los Angeles. Basically, you have a 4-hour trip from the moment you leave Bakersfield to putting your feet in the ocean. And stop typing. I know you have the Kern River running right through town, and the Kern River can be fun. It's just not ocean fun. Number 2, not for young people. Bakersfield is not for the young adults of this country. Despite having several technical colleges, a community college, as well as Cal State Bakersfield, it just doesn't have a ton of young people. While there are a few dive bars and sports bars, there's not much else to do for younger people. It's mostly middle-aged people and 30-somethings working on damaging their liver while they ponder their life choices at a dive bar called something like Rusty's Last Chance Bar and Grill. Residents aged 18 to 24 is the second lowest age group in the city, with only making up about 10% of the population. There's really not a lot of young people here, and like I said, it's kind of strange considering how many colleges and technical schools they have here. It's like the first thing everyone wants to do when they're 18 in Bakersfield is leave. And number 1, it's hot. Now, I've touched on this a few times on this list. Bakersfield has a very hot desert climate, being near the Mojave Desert and Death Valley. This should be no surprise to anyone. The average summer temperatures are up in the high 90s and the low hundreds. The highest recorded temperature here was recorded in July of 1908, and it was 118 degrees. That's Fahrenheit. During that same year, the city experienced a record lowest temperature of 11 degrees, again Fahrenheit. The average temperature in the winter here is in the high 40s. That's not terrible, but when you're used to the heat, it's pretty bad. The good news is it's a dry heat. So basically, in a nutshell, if you want blistering heats in the summer while being slowly poisoned by pollution, as you sit in sweats that are far too tight, going over job postings on Craigslist while you ignore calls about your student loans, move to Bakersfield. It's the ideal place for someone like you. Alright, so that's my top 10 reasons not to move to Bakersfield, California. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you got some information out of it. Now, this one's been requested a few times by some of my subscribers, so I thought I'd get it out there. Now, one other thing, there's some really good families in Bakersfield and some really good people. I know some of them. And I also like to say that my sister didn't beg me to say that, and it has nothing to do with the fact that my niece married a guy from Bakersfield, and he moved her across the country. But hey, thanks for watching the video. Don't forget all the links below. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button if you already have it. Everybody have a great day. Be nice to each other.